2013-4, 2013-2, State of Arkansas versus Terry Cohen. Mr. Cohen, you're appearing here today for purposes of changing your plea, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it's on two different sets of charges. In case 2013-2, the charges against you have been amended to residential burglary, Class B felony, battery in the first degree, a separate Class B felony. On those charges, how do you now plead?
I plead guilty, Your Honor.
In case 2013-4, where the charges are commercial burglary, a Class C felony, criminal mischief in the first degree, a Class D felony, theft of property, a Class A misdemeanor, and criminal trespass, a Class B misdemeanor, how do you now plead on those charges?
I plead guilty, Your Honor.
You're pleading guilty in both these different charges, sets of charges, based on an agreement that's been worked out for you by your attorney, Mr. Cooper, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you feel you understand the terms of the agreement and the punishment you're to receive in each case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the advice and the representation that Mr. Cooper has provided you?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court has the terms of the agreement in writing in front of it in these two plea statements I'm holding up. One plea statement applies to each case. Have you read over these plea statements and signed them?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
And in doing so, do you feel you understand what's contained in each plea statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
You then understand the nature of the charges against you and the full range of penalties you're facing?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand the rights that you give up or surrender by pleading guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
In pleading guilty, you're giving up certain basic constitutional rights, the most important of which are the right to a trial by jury, the right to be represented by an attorney and have the assistance of that attorney at trial, the right to confront the witnesses that would appear at trial and testify against you, and finally, the right to appeal. Do you understand that in each of these cases, you're giving up those rights that I've just set out?
Yes, Your Honor.
And understanding what rights you're giving up, do you understand, are you still willing to enter this plea of guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you pleading guilty here today freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anybody in any form or fashion forced you into entering a plea of guilty?
No, they have not, Your Honor.
In each case, in pleading guilty, do you acknowledge the truth of the accusations against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
In case 2013-2, do you acknowledge that on or about the January 1st of 2013 here in Baxter County, you acknowledge forcibly entering the apartment of another person and armed with a knife, and that you stabbed that person and cut them with a knife?
Yes, Your Honor.
In case 2013-4, you acknowledge that on or about the 29th day of December 2012, again here in Baxter County, that you entered a store without permission or authority to do so, and that you went that you apparently went behind the counter and took cigarettes. In the process, I guess you entered a local business, and then inside there you got certain articles of property. You broke in by doing damage to the premises, and then You acknowledge all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Based on those statements, the court's going to find the defendant in both these cases has freely and voluntarily entered his plea of guilty, done so after consulting with an attorney, and he's acknowledged the basic facts that constitute the crimes in each case. On that basis, at this time, the court finds the defendant in 2013-2, finds the defendant guilty of residential burglary, a Class B felony, and battery in the first degree, a second Class B felony. On those charges, in accordance with the agreement, the court is sentencing the defendant to 13 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections, with both those sentences to run concurrent with each other and concurrent with the sentence to be imposed in 2013-4. The court is providing the defendant will receive credit for 255 days of jail that he's already served. The court is imposing a court cost in the amount of $200, a fine of $1,000, a public defender assessment of $50, public defender fee of $150, a statutory or mandatory DNA fine of $250, and a booking administration fee of $20.
Judge, will be restitution to the victim. Actually, I think victim's reparation is paid, and we will get that corrected, and we'll enter that order once I get the information from victim's reparations.
So
The heads get blown off because of that.
you know who that was?
Family member, I think, Judge.
Pardon?
Just one of his family members.
If she comes back in, I want her to talk to her. The court's ordering restitution will be paid in an amount to be determined. All of those payments that I've just set out will be due and payable as a term and condition of the defendant's parole once he's released from the Department of Corrections. It'll be payable at a minimum rate of $100 per month, beginning within 60 days of his release from the Department of Corrections. In case 2013-4, 2013-4, the court accepts the defendant's plea and finds the defendant guilty of commercial burglary, Class C felony, criminal mischief in the first degree, Class D felony, theft of property, Class A misdemeanor, and criminal trespass, a Class B misdemeanor. The court is sentencing the defendant on the commercial burglary to 10 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections, on the criminal mischief to 6 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections, on the theft of property to 1 year in the 1 year in the Baxter County Detention Center, and on the criminal mischief to 90 days in the Baxter County Corrections Center, Detention Center, excuse me. All of those sentences will run concurrent with each other and concurrent with the sentence already imposed in 2013-2. Court is imposing court costs in the amount of $200, a $1,000 fine, public defender assessment of $50, public defender fee of $150, statutory DNA fine of $250, bookie administration fee of $20, and the payment of restitution in the amount of $1,078. All of those amounts will be due and payable as a term and condition of the defendant's parole once it's released from the Department of Corrections, payable at a minimum rate of $100 per month, beginning within 60 days of his release from the Department of Corrections. The court is directing that remanding him into the custody of the Sheriff's Office to await transportation to the Department of Corrections. You may be excused, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.